All right, we're going to call to order. First is Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Member Dearlich,
Here.
Member C.D. Lewis,
Here.
Member Bryant,
Here.
and Member Donita Dampierre. She has resigned effective November 18th, and that has been forwarded to the city clerk's office so they can solicit new applicants to fill that vacant seat. Member Stark,
Here.
Member Jones,
Here.
Member Clark,
Here.
Member Lamug, and Member Lamug has an excused absence. She did provide notice of her absence this evening. Member Gearsmaller, and he has an unexcused absence for the record.
All right, did I get a copy of Danita's letter? That she resigned?
No, I can email that to you.
If you would, please.
We do. 3 or more is a quorum.
All right. Next order of business is approval of minutes.
I move to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second.
All right. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Do we have any old business continuing? I don't think we do. All right, new business.
Mr. Chair, before Ms. Barnes does her presentation on item A, is that what you're up here to do the presentation on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, before she does her presentation, I have a disclosure to make. I am a member of the St. Cloud Women's Club, and also I do volunteer work at the Heritage Museum. I have no financial interest in either of these institutions, except sometimes I donate to different fundraisers. And so I'd like guidance from the board with regard to my participation.
I'll go there. You're a member of the organizations that utilize the building, but you don't have any financial interest in the buildings themselves. So
Oh, heavens,
since
no.
they're municipal buildings, so it wouldn't factor in.
No,
Okay,
0.
all right.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I just wanted to let people know that I own the property pretty much across the street, owner, landlord, tenant, all in one.
So noted for the record.
All right.
Are you, all right. So the first new business tonight is the Certificate of Appropriateness, COA 20-00003 for 1012 through 1014 Massachusetts Avenue for exterior alterations. to the Veterans Memorial Library and Women's Club of St. Cloud Auditorium. The Veterans Memorial Library and the Women's Club of St. Cloud Auditorium are considered contributing structures in the Historic District. On August 3rd, 2020, the structures were listed on the National Register of Historic Places. In 1922, the Veterans Memorial Library was built with clay tile covered over with stucco. It first appears on a 1924 Sanborn fire insurance map. The building was designed by Ida Ryan and Isabel Roberts Orlando. Ryan and Roberts was one of the first female architectural firms in Florida. Per the National Register nomination, the library is described as constructed in a prairie style, as shown in these historic photographs. In 1949, the auditorium was constructed with concrete block just south of the library, as shown in these pictures. Also, the concrete block hyphen connecting the two structures was constructed at that time as well. So the proposed exterior alterations include much for ADA accessibility. The rear portion of the one-story hyphen will will be extended in the rear, and then in the front, a door will replace an existing window. Before you can see that on the existing east elevation and the proposed elevation. Additionally, there are some interior alterations proposed, but some existing doors on the exterior. Also proposing to replace the existing canopy over the front door of the Women's Club, and constructing new landing and stairs for the library, as well as repairing any existing stucco and painting the exterior in the same color, if not very similar. So this is the north existing elevation, and then the proposed north elevation as well. No windows will be removed except the one where the door is being put in the center hyphen connection. So in accordance with Preservation Brief 32, and in accordance with the ADA Act, access to properties open to the public is a civil right. The National Park Service published Preservation Brief 32 to provide guidance to minimize the materials and features of a historic property, and in regards to its significance relating to modifications for accessibility. So briefly, I'm going to go through what was also included in your staff report, the codes, Land Development Code, Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation. The alterations proposed will not, it will just make the structure ADA compliant and accessible to all. Two, the greatest change is the existing rear addition for a bathroom and expanding an existing addition to the rear as well. This will not imitate other historic styles and does not create a false sense of historic development. Although the one-story hyphen between the two buildings has gained historic significance in its own right, the proposed change is minimal and is requested to be to meet ADA accessibility standards. And it is in scale with the property itself, or the buildings themselves. Most of this also will include repair work, and again, creating ADA accessibility. There's no chemical treatments proposed. If there are, staff should be consulted, and there are no known archaeological resources at this time. And the proposed renovation does not appear to destroy the historic materials and preserve spatial relationships. And the changes are compatible with the feature, size, and scale, as well as massing to protect the integrity of the structures. If, we are now documenting any changes if approved, it's obviously, the changes are to meet ADA accessibility, and a reversible change could happen. I'm not sure why that would happen, but it meets, it is reversible. So therefore, in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act and the National Park Service Preservation Brief 32, as well as the Land Development Code, staff recommends approval for the exterior alterations to the Memorial Library and Women's Club Auditorium at 1012 through 1014 Massachusetts Avenue. Per section 3.24.3 F2 of the Land Development Code, the board has the power to approve or deny applications affecting properties within the historic district. And that concludes my report. I also have John Davis with the city, who drew the architectural drawings, and he's available for any questions if you have any as well. Thank you.
Yeah, can you go back to the exterior elevations?
Sure. Oh, so sorry.
All right, is there a reason here why we went from a double entrance door to a single entrance door?
Yes. I spoke with John Davis, and maybe he can shed a little light. It's my understanding that the doors are not original, as well as it's to meet Florida Building Code as well.
It's to what?
Meet Florida Building Code. Currently, the double doors do not now.
So a wider entrance is less?
I'm not an
single
expert. I am not an expert on Florida Building Code, so let me see if John Davis can help answer that question.
All right.
Hi, my name is John Davis. I'm the staff architect for the city of St. Cloud. Current 2017 building code requires that each leaf of the entrance door has to be 36 inches. The existing opening is 5 feet, so each leaf is only 30 inches wide. So it doesn't meet the requirement for a 36-inch front door. Also, in the few pictures I've been able to locate of the original structure, it appears that it had a single front door and not a double front door. The double front doors that are in there right now are definitely not the original doors.
Okay. And I assume the stairs have been widened due to ADA?
Well, the front stairs we didn't have to modify at all. They're exactly the same. If you notice, the north stairs we're modifying to comply with ADA.
And that's due to the landing out the door?
The front stairs met all the ADA
No, but
requirements
the
as
side
is.
one, the north door, you need the landing?
The side
The north side.
porches that you're adding, John, he's just asking if that's for ADA on the egress.
Well, the doors don't meet ADA, but we still have to, the stairs have to comply with ADA with the railings and the rise of the treads and the depth of the treads.
Don't you need a landing coming out those as well?
There is you need a 5-foot landing
Okay,
at the
that's-
outside of the door, plus a 5-foot landing at the base of the
right.
stairs, and the current stairs do not have that.
All right, that's what I was asking.
Okay.
Also on, can we go to the next slide?
There we go.
All right, this has the stack or whatever it is there. And it looks on the proposed, you've got something wrapped around that. What is that?
That extension that extends out behind the building,
Yeah, it looks like it covers the stack there.
well, there's an abandoned chimney there and a pilar for the higher wall, but that's the center ramp. The existing connection between the two buildings was not big enough to put in an ADA compliant ramp, so I had to extend the back part of that connection out to get a ADA compliant ramp at 1 and 12 with the appropriate landing in it. That's the back of the connection between the two buildings.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, John, I'm confused. So this building is the Heritage Museum or the Women's Club building?
I'm sorry.
This building, this drawing, is the Heritage Museum or the Women's Club?
It's actually for both of them. It's a connection between the two buildings right now.
But I'm looking at the north side of the Women's
Oh.
Club.
That's the north side of the Women's Club, which isn't changing at all.
Okay, so I guess I'm confused at which building we're doing what to now. So tell me again where the ADA entries are going to be.
Well, right now, the only ramp out of the building is the ramp that connects between the two buildings.
Correct.
It's too steep. It doesn't have a landing before the door or after the door on it. And the only way, right now, in the new design, you come out to a landing when you're in the museum, you turn right and go down a 1 and 12 ramp. You get to a landing at the back, you go over and you come down to the next landing, ramp, that's also 1 and 12, and then you get to the door where it has a minimum, it's over 5 feet, but a landing at the end of the ramp, and then you go into the ladies' club. And you can also then go outside with the new front door that's, the new door that's on the east side of that connector is the exit, means of exit for wheelchair out of both buildings. Although the ladies' club is already at grade, but
Right.
both doors go into that center ramp, and then you can exit out through there.
So the front door of the Heritage Museum is ADA compliant currently?
It's not handicap, not wheelchair compliant, but everything else is ADA compliant. You only need one wheelchair access, and it doesn't have to be the front door. It just has to be accessible and readily seen from the front.
Okay. And tell me again why we would go to a single door versus a double door on the Heritage Museum?
Building code, the 2014 building code would allow you to have a 5-foot opening with two 30-inch doors. The 2017 building code changed it to each leaf has to be 36 inches if it's a double door. And we didn't have enough room without altering the opening to get double doors with 36-inch leaves. And then once again, the older photographs, unfortunately, the door is recessed and it's in the shadows in almost every old photograph you can find, but it did not, in my opinion, did not appear to have double doors on the original building.
So Olive, do you have any older pictures that demonstrate what the door originally was?
You're going to have to speak at the microphone.
Mi-
Yeah,
Yep.
we can hear you.
And just provide your name and address for the
Oh,
record,
certainly.
please.
Yeah, my name is Olive Horning, and I live at 2453 Neptune Road, Kissimmee. And I'm the president of the Women's Club and curator for the museum. The pictures that I saw on this document are the same ones that we have, so we wouldn't have anything different, anything older than what's already here. And it is hard to tell what the door looks like. I mean, we always liked the double door because it was large enough for us to carry things through that were big. And with both doors being, you know, the 36 inches, we won't be able to do that. You know, I mean, with because that was our saving grace, being able to come in through the museum with a large item. So, but I can understand why. Is there another question?
Yes. Ms. Horning? On the back side of the library, there are 2 doors. There's one that volunteers and staff commonly come into when they park on that side of the library. And it has one handrail or banister. And I couldn't tell from the drawings, and Mr. Davis might be able to answer this, if they were planning to add a second banister to that, those stairs, because it's kind of dangerous to come down there. You can't, there's no right-hand banister when you're going up.
Yes, both of the side steps have handrails on both sides of the stairs. It sort of lines up with the edge of the door, so it's kind of hard to read on the elevation.
I
But
couldn't,
if you look on the floor plan, it shows handrails coming down both sides of the stairs at both
Okay.
doors.
thank you so much.
Johnson?
And also, Mr. Davis, while you're at the podium, do you have a projection of when this work will be started and finished?
Well, depending on the outcome of tonight, whether I need to modify any of the drawings, the drawings are all ready to go out to bid. The specs are written, the plans are ready, and all I have to do is sign and seal them, and they're ready to go out to bid. It'll take probably until January, the end of January, for the bidding process and take it to the council. And so then you probably have another 45 days for contract negotiations and signing with the bidder. So you're probably looking at March, April, May timeframe to actually start construction on the structures.
And how long do you project that construction's gonna take?
I would say 9 months. Most of it, very little exterior. It's just a connection between the 2 buildings and the steps. And a lot of the construction is building shelving units and everything that can actually be built ahead of time, be brought into the building to put in. So there isn't all that much. I think about 9 months actual construction. I think it would be done by approximately this time next year.
I know in the library there's gonna be new flooring, need to be new flooring, because they had to remove
Right.
all that
Yes, it'd be
asbestos.
all new flooring.
But I don't know about the women's club.
Women's Club, because of the funds we had available, we won't be changing the floor in there. Most of the money is being spent on the library. And we're putting a new kitchen in the ladies' club, and we're making both of the restrooms in the ladies' club ADA compliant.
Okay,
And we're putting a chair lift at the stage for, most of the changes in the ladies' club are for ADA issues.
okay, thank you so much.
And Ms. Horning, while you're here, you had a question, you wanted to speak on the electrical and plumbing?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask.
If you could go ahead and,
Because I looked at the diagram for electrical, and I really didn't see too many extra outlets that are being put in either one of the buildings. And we have a dearth of electrical outlets in both the buildings. So are you planning on putting more in?
And just make sure you're speaking into the microphone as well.
Yeah. Let's see. This is the electrical plan that I ran off.
Yeah, in the library, you're limited where the electrical outlets can go because nearly all the exterior walls are shelving. But we're retaining all of the electrical outlets that are in place right now. Plus, I think we have 2 or 3 more in the library area. Plus, there's some in the connector. Now, the ladies, made most of the electrical changes are in the kitchen area where we're meeting the code with additional outlets. And we're also changing the panel out in the ladies' club because it's a 1960s panel, electrical panel, so we're putting a new panel in there. We can look at putting more, but they would just be all grouped together again, because we don't have very many blank walls in the library to put a receptacle. But if that's a desire, we can add some more on column bases or at corners.
I saw that there was one, there always was one by the door, you know, by the library door.
Miss
Right
Horning,
here,
I'm
and
sorry.
And I don't
Excuse-
see it. That's all. I'll go sit down, but that's, I'm really concerned about the electrical and the plumbing.
Well, the plumbing is all new. We're taking out all the existing restrooms in the library and replacing them with ADA compliant restrooms that run along the whole back. We're leaving the air conditioning system in there that's currently in there, but all of the plumbing inside the building will be new and the restrooms will be full compliant with ADA. In the women's club, we're enlarging both restrooms and making them compliant with ADA with the fixture placements that are in there also. And like I say, well, I can definitely add more electrical outlets in here if that's a desire to do that.
Oh, Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. We need to make sure that the AC system has an adequate dehumidification ability, because our documents get easily destroyed by excess humidity. And that's happening now, because we don't have a way to dehumidify them. We've had portable ones in there, and the city staff has been very good about emptying them. But during this interim time, we've had a lot of documents stored where there's been no dehumidification, and some of our documents, unfortunately, have been damaged and lost. So whatever we have with our AC in the library needs to have good dehumidification. And in the Women's Club, we do need to have adequate outlets. In the museum too, but in the Women's Club, if you go over there and look, you'll be very stunned at how few there are. And the fire marshal won't let us put a lot of cords together.
Extension cords.
Yeah, I got in trouble.
Yeah, the air conditioning system in the library was installed about 2 or 3 years ago. It hasn't run since we started doing the investigation. It's the portable units. Portable units were not designed, I mean, they do, air conditioning unit in itself is not a dehumidifier. You have to watch the temperature range and the outside humidity to monitor the humidity, but they are really not a dehumidifier. But if they're operating properly and the insulation is correct in the building, you can maintain a correct temperature with the correct humidity. And we'll monitor that. We'll have the system checked out before we open it up again. We'll have the existing system certified to make sure it's still working properly.
Is any additional insulation being added with this remodel of the library?
Not at this point. That was indicated that it currently meets the requirements that we have to have for the air conditioning system.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
If I may, John, I've got a few items to cover, and that as far as that are relating to what we need to address, which the plans don't indicate what the materials of the door replacement are. So can you speak on that, since they're not in the plans, as far as what's being bid to actually replace those doors?
If I remember right, my door specifications are calling out, the only doors that we're replacing is the front doors, and it calls out for a solid core wood front door.
Okay.
The side doors we're keeping with what we have, that is be refurnished, and we will be putting a new door in for the connector that's also called out for a solid core wood door.
Okay.
That will match the character of the rest of the building.
And the other element which was touched on, which were the the side doors on the north side, the new pads that are being built. I just want to confirm, because there was a conflict in the drawings, most of the drawings indicate that or appear that from the landing, you're going straight off in steps and going out. But on your foundation plan, you show a 90-degree turn with your steps facing each other. So I just wanted to
Okay,
confirm which was happening.
Yeah, we made the change. Originally, I had both steps coming off at a 90-degree turn and coming down to a common sidewalk. After it was reviewed by the State Historical, they recommended they'd like to see the two change and continue to go straight out. And I guess I have to apologize for not changing the foundation drawings, but I'll get that changed.
It happens. I just wanted to clarify.
Right.
The last item, which is one that hasn't been touched on, is the canopy on the Women's Club. Obviously, in the earlier drawings that we were looking at back in the 60s, there was no canopy. Since that time, a canopy was added. You're removing it, you're replacing it. So can you speak on that in regards to how that's happening and making sure that there's not any, if you will, historical damage?
For the ladies' club
Yes.
canopy?
Yes, that, I believe it was noted to be what, an aluminum canopy?
Yeah, the ladies' club currently has an aluminum canopy at the front door that was probably installed in the 70s. And we're calling for that canopy to be removed but replaced with one of like kind and style as the existing one. So the only difference when the new canopy in is it should just look new, but it should look just like the one that was up there.
Okay, so you're anticipating similar mount locations to minimize damage to the building, since it
Right.
looks to be building mounted on the.
Okay, and I may not have heard your question right, but we will ensure that the canopy meets all wind load requirements, so the attachments, how it goes into the ground and attached to the building may change from what's there, just to make sure we get the wind load requirements for the new
Okay.
building code.
Thank you.
Mr. Davis, could you explain to me one more time why we can't have a wide double door, or even keep the double door that we have now, and maybe just rehab it
Well,
in the library?
we can keep the double doors. If we don't do anything but paint them and refinish them, we could keep the doors. But if we change the doors, we have to change it to meet the latest code, which requires a 3-foot wide door leaf. With the 5-foot wide doors, each leaf or each door is only 30 inches wide.
If I could, I'd like to call Ms. Horning back up and ask her what she would prefer.
Before Olive speaks, John, I have a question as it relates to that. Not just the door, but the canopy as well. Although they may not be original from like the 1900s, 1920s when the buildings were built, they, in most cases, at least the doors, you would anticipate were put on sometime before 1970, right?
Somewhere in that frame,
Right.
I would guess, yeah.
So even though it's not original, it still makes that a historic feature because it is past 50 years, which is the benchmark for historic buildings and, significance. So does that factor into any of the decisions that we make as it relates to features?
Well, part of the issue is the ADA is not a building code. The ADA is a federal law. And so first thing we have to do is follow the federal law to meet ADA. I can go through this research one more time to verify that the door between the connector between the two buildings, which is a 3.0 door, would suffice as a 3.0. The issue I have is not all handicapped people can walk up and down a ramp. And a stair with a handrail is preferred, particularly with somebody who's mobile but uses a cane or needed assistance to support, and they have issues with ramps. So the ADA likes you to have both a ramp and an ADA stair for somebody to go down. And that's the reason I have both meeting ADA requirements.
Okay.
Do we not have an ADA stair on the other portions of the building?
No, I had looked into taking one of the side doors on the north wall and making it a 3.0 door. This building is terracotta and not a concrete block. And so when you start trying to cut that opening bigger, you're going to really have issues with the terracotta because it's so fragile.
Yep.
And I didn't want to take a chance in damaging the structure of the building by turning one of those two doors into a 36-inch leaf.
So you're
My
telling-
concern with the significance of the time is more the double door and the covering, the awning over on the women's club, of making sure that they're consistent with what's there, because they still, the features would be of historic nature, even though they weren't there at the very beginning of the building.
Well, I understand the concern is to change the door to meet ADA, but not every single opening has to be ADA accessible.
No.
We have a ramp.
But
Do we-
that's not
do we-
why they're changing the front door, right?
Yes, I'm changing the front door to meet ADA compliant. Well,
But it's
it's
a smaller
ADA,
door.
and the building code states it has to be, you can't put in a pair of 36-inch doors anymore.
Do we have any
Or
other
30-inch
doors around the building that would still meet the ADA accessibility?
No, both side doors are 2'8". Both of the north doors are. And on the ladies' club, the front door is a 3.0 door. And I can't, the door between the ladies' club and the ramp is lockable, and they do lock it for security with the ladies' club when it's not being used. So I can't use the front door of the ladies' club as my 36-inch exit door without the ramp, plus they still have to go down the ramp to get there. So the only door I had, one, because the building code says it has to be a 36-inch door, and two, there's no other doors that are 36-inch on that building.
Okay.
But if they're
But,
230s, they're 60, right?
For ADA, the pair of doors would be fine,
Right.
because we're not trying to get wheelchairs through them. I'll check with the building official one more time and see if we can put double doors, and if we can, I'll put double doors in.
Okay, well, that's my issue. The double doors is an issue for me, and whatever we're replacing on the awning on the women's club.
And I concur, it'd be nice to have an opening bigger than 36 inches to
Right.
get boxes and stuff in and out.
Yeah.
Changing it to a single door was one of the last things I did. I had the double doors in there.
So then there's the question of why exactly do we have to change it? I mean, if it's existing, it's existing. So,
Well,
like
like-
most other historic structures, they may not necessarily meet building code today, but they did at the time, and they're grandfathered in because they're existing. So do we have to?
Because of the extent of the renovations we're doing to the building, once you exceed 50% of the value of the building in renovations, you have to bring the whole building up to building code.
I don't think that,
Shouldn't it still
correct me if
be-
I'm wrong, I don't think that applies to historic structures.
Yes, it does.
Does it?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure either, Doug. I think there's some wiggle room there.
But once again, I'll confirm with the building official one more time. If he indicates that he's fine with double doors on the front, I'll put double doors back on the front.
All right, anything else?
Those were my concerns.
Ms. Horning, did you get your questions answered?
This regards the Women's Club doors. To begin with, the Women's Club doors were double doors, not single doors. And somewhere along the line, they changed and put those side lights in beside the door. So there's one door with side lights there. And the side lights are plexiglass. Well, I know they aren't going to be replaced with plexiglass, but they leak and bugs come in and lizards and everything else. So that's not too good. But anyway, it was originally, and I have a picture of that it was double doors for the Women's Club. And I don't have an old picture, with the library about whether it was double or not. But if it remains double doors, then something has to be done to make sure those doors close properly, because we're sitting in there and the wind blows and you can just hear the doors just shake back and forth, you know. So they need to be tightened up or whatever you do. I'm not an engineer, I don't know what you do with doors. But those are my only two comments I want to make about the doors.
Well, my understanding though, John, is you'd put new doors in there, it's just you would make them double. So that should solve that problem,
They do the
Olive.
same size and everything, then the new doors would probably work just fine, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there another question somebody might have? I'm up here.
I've run
Okay.
out.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. For the ladies' club, we're replacing the door and the side lights to match what's there. And then the front door is a 36-inch door, so, and also they have issues with the existing lock that we'll be putting all new hardware on it also.
Do we have anything from anybody else?
One question. I saw one of the drawings showed a lighting plan. It showed a drawing with light fixtures on it, I think,
Yes.
unless I was hallucinating. That was for in the library?
That's in the library, will be, currently it has a suspended ceiling, and then we're gonna replace the ceiling with a 2x2 suspended ceiling grid with 2x2 LED lights, which would give much better lighting at a much lower cost of operation.
Great.
That's good.
That's good. Okay, thank you. No, I've run out. I do have a follow-up question that's of a technical nature for Ms. Barnes. I do have a technical question for Ms. Barnes, but nothing more about the plans.
Hi, yes.
Hi, Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Do you have in your materials a copy of the notice that went out to the people in the community?
I do not. I did, the adjacent property owners and tenants, I sent around the parcel
Okay.
itself.
Do you recall if that notice had the addresses for both the buildings?
It should have. It's actually in the property appraiser. It's under 1012 Massachusetts, but when we do a notice, it's actually based upon the parcel, the adjacent parcels. So the actual number wouldn't affect it.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is the application that Ms. Holtkamp, I think it is, submitted
Mm-hmm.
for this case.
Mm-hmm.
She has the address listed as 1012 Massachusetts Avenue.
Correct. So 1012 through 1014.
No, there's no through 1014, it just says 10.
So the property appraiser, when you look at the parcel, it's my understanding probably for emergency, it's 1012.
Okay,
But I added the 1014 because whenever you go, the other building is listed as 1014.
I just want to make sure we don't have a problem with the notices. Because the closest residents
Mhm.
to this property are the people that live near 1014, which isn't named on this application, although in the narrative, it does say that the project will consist of renovating both the Veterans Memorial Library and the attached Women's Club building.
Correct. So the property appraiser under this parcel number,
Uh-huh,
because technically it's all one building because it's connected by the hyphen, is 1012.
Okay.
However, whenever you go on the street view, it's 1012 through 1014 listed as well.
right.
So whenever the notice was sent out to adjacent property owners and tenants, it was based upon the parcel itself, not on the address itself, the parcel itself.
The parcel itself.
Yes.
Okay, because the parcel number will mean nothing to people.
Right, but it's the subject property.
Okay, hopefully it had a little diagram of the parcel.
Of course,
Okay.
because it's technically one building.
I just wanted to make sure that the note, what I'm trying to do is avoid there being a problem down the road because 12 or 1014 wasn't specifically listed as an address on the application.
No, if anything, we're over advertising
Well,
because of
that's
the 14.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Trust me,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Ms. Jones, I received 3 notices for this parcel.
You
And-
did.
Yes, I did.
I am
And,
so glad.
and in the law, we always go by parcel ID number. That is, you know,
Well,
it was clear which property was in
I
question. yeah.
understand in the law you do, but if you're a person living in an apartment.
You probably don't care.
citizen, you don't understand, a parcel ID means nothing to you, but a street address does. So we're cool then.
Yeah, the street address was on there.
Great.
If you say so, I believe it. CR,
All right, do we have anything else, Dad?
I'm
Anybody?
done.
All right, do I have a motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness with the exception of changing the doors back to the double doors on the Heritage Museum and addressing the canopy over the Women's Club.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item of discussion. We needed to have discussion prior to this,
Yeah.
before the vote. My concern with the way that it was worded, Paula, you said with the exception of going to the double doors? Is that what I heard?
That's what's being recommended, so
Well,
we're approving it.
I'm trying to clarify that you're.
I want the double doors to remain double
Okay.
doors.
The way that I understood it, you were accepting it that you didn't want the double doors, so I wanted to make sure that that was clear, because to me, it sounded as if you don't.
The presentation shows single doors.
Correct, but I'm
So-
saying your verbiage, the way that you said it.
Okay, John, I want double doors.
and I concur.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
Yes. Of course, I have to say something else. Both of these buildings are vital to downtown St. Cloud. And they have been in need of this improvement since Hurricane Irma came through and devastated those buildings. And devastated the documents, the priceless documents that are in there. The members, including both Mrs. Horning and I have forgotten Sharon's last name, but I apologize. It starts with a B. And many other women spent days hanging up wet, priceless documents on clotheslines, rope clotheslines, to dry them out. And then have to put them back into binders. And now we're scanning those to preserve St. Cloud's history. Those buildings, especially the library, that's the museum, is a priceless jewel in this community. And I encourage you, after it gets up and running again, that you come in and look at the heritage of your city. And both Miss Horning and Miss Bliss have spent thousands of hours, devoting their time toward it. Thank you for tolerating me tonight with all my questions.
All right.
Chair Derlich, Member Stark, if you could, I So the first part of your motion is that the double doors remain, and if you could repeat the second part of your motion?
And maintaining the integrity of the covering over the women's club.
Oh, the covering, okay. And that passed 6-0.
Actually, we interrupted it, so we need to actually continue the motion.
Okay.
And
All
I
right.
seconded the motion.
Since we have a motion on the table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
So
Yeah.
6-0, pass.
All right. Next item is certified local government annual update.
Just very briefly, I want to let you know that we are submitting the annual reporting form required to keep the CLG status. Just want to let you know. Oh, what's going on? Sorry. So that essentially concludes that portion. Do you have any questions or comments?
Are we current on all our, I know this was kind of a weird year, but
Mhm.
I'm a little concerned that we didn't have the correct number of meetings
Right.
for this
so,
year.
So,
One of the items I see later on is our next meeting is in January. I believe our next meeting is in December. That was a scheduled meeting.
okay, we can alter that. That may have been a typo. So currently, I don't think a lot of local governments met the minimum because of COVID, the minimum meetings. I spoke with the state, with Ruben Acosta. He is in charge of the CLG right now. And that is actually one of the questions in the reporting form is how has COVID affected operations. So they know, the state knows, and I think a lot of other certified local governments are in the same boat currently.
Okay. Anything else on item B for anybody? No? All right, next item is project review and ranking.
Included in the back of your packet was a preliminary list of projects, and I thought it would be beneficial to rank, priority versus, this was over the years. I looked at prior minutes. So we can prioritize the list if you'd like, but this was, or add anything, this was just kind of a compiled list of everything from minutes.
One of the things that we were asking for, and I don't see it, this is not what we were asking for. We've asked this now, and I want to see this pop up. We only see what comes before the board. There's a lot of other stuff that comes in that we don't see, and we don't
Correct.
know about. This board wanted to find out what those things are.
Okay, so that actually should have been also included in your packet. So this is also, from my research, a preliminary list of items that came in as a minor or major certificate of appropriateness.
Okay, this is the other
Is
side
that
of the
this
sheet.
list?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Correct. So I knew that was an item that you were looking for. I still would like to go through this list again and finalize it, make sure I haven't missed anything. But this is what I have. And when the certificate of appropriateness was approved and the description of the work.
Anna, I have a question.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you so much for providing this,
course.
because we have been asking for it like forever.
No, we've been asking, but this is the first time we've had this in
Right.
forever.
When, I guess, without knowing that that's what this was before we got here this evening, we probably could look it up. But on the other hand, I mean, a lot of us don't necessarily know what these addresses represent. So I'm wondering if there's some other identifying factor that can be included.
Sure. I mean, sure, we can add definitely another column. A lot of times, if it's a minor application, it's just for a non-contributing residential home
Right.
at times. So therefore, you know, it's hard to create like an identifier per se.
Well, I
I-
would be more concerned with anything that's contributing.
Of course, right,
Yeah.
right. And it actually should list it as contributing or not, so it's on that list as whether it was a contributing structure or not.
So if it's contributing, if we can just
It would be yes.
take another step of what that building is.
Sometimes. So sometimes if it's a contributing structure and it might not need a major certificate of appropriateness if it's something just as fixing the stucco or something along those lines, replacing in like kind. It might still need a letter, but not a board review.
Well, here's one I got for you, which caused some concern.
Okay.
1004 New York Avenue. It's a contributing structure. Complete renovation of building, including new roof. Goes to staff.
No, it went to the board.
No? Says here staff.
I'm sorry. What-
1004
If
was,
if-
that
if you
that
go to
came
the side, it
us.
says board.
It says board on the right.
It says staff.
It says
I
staff.
can,
It says staff.
in 2019, is that the one you're referring to?
2017.
2017?
right?
I don't think we were certified local government then yet.
Oh, there's two different ones on here for the same address.
Right, so 2017, I can look into exactly what it was.
We were meeting 2017, weren't we?
That may, you know what, that actually might be a typo. Because I was going through one by one, so let me check on that one, if that's okay with you.
All right, that's the hotel. Because
Yeah.
because later on down the way, in 2019, I see the modified roof, wrap, exterior
Right.
environment. That
I may-
that did come before us.
I may have accidentally, seeing the same address,
Okay.
put the description of work the same. So let me verify and check that one.
Well, just to make note of that too, Anna, because of the way that particular building came to us, it kind of came to us after the fact.
Well-
And so we were kind of put in a position with that particular structure that things had already been done to that building before it even came to us, that at the time it came to us, the things we were most concerned about, we didn't really have a lot of input to
Right.
give because we were told it was going to be demolished if we didn't approve it as was. So that's concerning. So we would like to not have those situations happen.
A lot of times, work or unpermitted work or work being done without permits, I don't know if that was unpermitted or not. I know currently in the system, I personally do the reviews. It's tagged as each address that if there's a building permit, I have the historic preservation review. So it's automatically in my workflow at work. But yes, let me check on that. I think I just saw the same address and, and along the note for the, can I update you on the hotel as well? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. I know you were asking about that. I did go with the building official the other day, and we actually went inside. They're doing a lot of framing, a lot of walls interior on the second and third floor. I did speak with the original applicant for the certificate of appropriateness, Mateo Hodo, and he said that they were finishing the third floor support system and the second floor load-bearing walls, and they hope to finish the framing and the roof within the next few months. And they're really enjoying, as a side note, enjoying working on the project because they realize how important it is to the community. So that was a little brief update. Sorry?
That is great, thank you.
Yes, of course. It's going in with the building official. You know, they're still framing for sure. There's lots of walls and so unfinished.
Well, I had a question on this, and I know you probably don't have the answer, but they were talking about this wrap thing to kind of keep the building together. Yet I'm looking at it right now, and like half the back is peeled off. So I'm kind of like, well, then what are you wrapping? Because,
Right. Maybe that's later. I will check into it for you,
okay.
for sure.
I mean, I want to make sure that that this is going according to plan, and we're not going to get something, oh, well, it fell down, and we said, too bad.
Oh,
But,
gotcha.
I don't
No,
want to, that's the kind of stuff I don't want to.
When I went on site with the building official, I believe it was either Monday or Tuesday, and there were several guys working in there, actively working. So,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, could I make a point to the item historic projects and ranking? I would recommend, if it's okay with the rest of the board, that we review this individually and that this be our topic of discussion for the December meeting so that we can spend time on it. And I would also encourage our Historic Preservation Board, and Anna, I've been meaning to reach out to you, but I've been working from home because I was sick, so I'm a little behind on some things. But if we could attend the Historic Preservation Breakfast with the Pros on the 8th of December, we have the consultant that put the inventory update and report together, and we would be able to ask questions, and you would be able to hear their recommendations specifically, and several of those recommendations are pertinent to this list. So I think that would be advantageous for us to be able to know what things are key and how we would want to rank them.
Is that at 7:30, Paula?
It starts at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
But if you could RSVP to the Main Street office, that'd be great because we provide breakfast, so.
And Jessica, did staff also get that Breakfast with the Pros?
Yes, I believe they did, yes.
Okay.
And to continue, just to let you know, I did receive the survey recently, I think Friday afternoon, from the state, from Ruben Acosta. And I would like to go through the survey. It's quite long. But if you would like, we can create a Dropbox link to everybody so they can
Well,
view.
I would like to request that we hold off on that. I just got an email from our contact at the state who we go through for the grant, and they said they are still reviewing it.
Oh.
So it's not,
So my
Final,
intel's not,
final.
okay, I thought it was final. I know they released, Ruben stated that they released the funds. For
yes, the
small-
funding has been, but they
Okay.
have not done their final review.
Okay.
And
well-
I just got that this morning.
Okay,
so.
okay. Well, we can definitely hold off then.
But the overall presentation that will be done on the 8th is to the larger points of that.
Right.
Because she was the consultant that put, well, she was one of the consultants that put it together, so.
Would we be then meeting the night of the 8th? Is it the December meeting's the 8th, correct?
I'm sorry, on what?
Is the December meeting is the 8th, correct? The second Tuesday of?
It's a Tuesday, the 8th. Is that the
No,
8th?
For the Historic Preservation Board meeting. that
Oh,
you-
for the board meeting, no, I'm talking about the breakfast with the
I
pros.
think it's January 12th.
No,
No, we just said
We have a
tonight,
scheduled December meeting. This jumped ahead.
right.
Oh, it jumped ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get
We had a
the
schedule one for October, and it's bi-monthly,
My
so then it should be
Calendar
one in
doesn't
December.
like me.
so what would be the date of the December board meeting? Would that be that evening, the 8th?
Unfortunately, I don't have the list with me, but
Yeah, I was thinking, because that would be the second Tuesday. We normally meet on the second Tuesday. So that would
Well,
be-
we've been meeting the third Tuesdays, haven't we?
Sec-
What's today?
oh no, we were meeting on the first Tuesday. and somewhere
Today's the
along the way it changed,
17th, so that's the third, so I don't know.
Well, this was a special meeting.
Yes, this one was, yes.
Yeah, this was the special meeting.
So then, let's go back.
So December 8th.
So we did meet October 13th, which was the second Tuesday.
That's what we were.
Yeah, so it would be December 8th.
At what time?
At the same location here at 6 PM.
December 8th.
Yes, ma'am.
December.
It's the same day. That was what I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Which would be good because then it'll be fresh.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
Yes,
I
good
think that would
timing.
work out perfect.
Anastasia, thank you for the report.
No problem. And so just to clarify, the meeting, was there a breakfast that you mentioned on the 8th?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So
And that's
2.
where the consultant will be.
Okay.
And actually, I don't know, I could talk to Christine and see if she would come to our meeting that evening, if we want. But you may not need to, you'll have an opportunity to talk to her that morning.
Yeah. All right, next item is public comment. No? Okay. Anybody have anything else for the good of the group? Tony?
Yes, I'd like to thank Ms. Barnes for her thorough presentation tonight on that long application and how you managed to sort everything out. I'm appropriately impressed. Good job.
Thank you very much. And if you ever, you can always email me, call me, if there's any questions as well. So,
Anna, is your email on any of these public papers?
I can
No.
email it out to everyone,
Okay,
so
that'd be
you
great.
have her information.
All right, thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you very much.
All right, I just want to make sure the informational section gets updated.
So it'll be December 8th at the same location here at the St. Cloud Community Center at 6 PM.
Yes. All right, so the next item will be adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All righty.